On today's episode of the Going Deeper podcast, we are talking about sabbatical. What's up, Fathom Church? Welcome to the Going Deeper podcast. This is your host, Kyle Knight, and these are episodes we like to take either a topic or maybe even a sermon and go deeper into it, hopefully to help you go deeper in your relationship with God. I'm in our podcast studio, and I've got lead pastor Chris Martin.
Hello.
Hello, Chris. And special guest, but you know her, our worship minister, Amanda Blem.
Hello.
Hello, Amanda.
Good to be here.
Good to have you here. We're going to be talking about sabbatical, but there's a reason why Amanda is here. So this might sound a little bit different than our normal episodes, but Chris, why don't you start us off with why we were talking about sabbatical, but more specifically why Amanda is here.
Yeah, so we announced this at our members meeting back in February, first week of February, but we wanted to record a podcast and talk about this for the whole church. But Amanda is going to be taking a sabbatical this summer. So she's taking one, but we're also giving her. Her church is giving her, her church. If you're listening to this, you're a part of her church. You're giving her a sabbatical this summer. So for 2 months, she will not be here. She will be paid. Still, our worship minister isn't leaving us, but is going to be away from here, taking a sabbatical, a Sabbath rest from her work as our worship minister. So we wanted to, officially announce that in the podcast, but also then have some dialogue about what is sabbatical, why do we do this, how do we do this, what's the purpose of this, and then really getting to hear from Amanda just some things she's excited for, things she's looking forward to, prayer requests she might have, and then even, hey, what's going to happen with worship while she's gone, those sorts of things, just so that the whole church can kind of be brought up to speed. So that when we send her and pray for her and commission her into her summer sabbatical, it's not like catching anybody broadside. And it also, we can really pray her up and send her well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So I think we need to first start with just a little bit of what is a sabbatical. I know we've talked, if you've listened to someone, we talked about rest before. I think we've touched on sabbatical a little bit, or even Sabbath, but Chris, I'm going to throw it to you. And then maybe you can go into, after kind of teaching us a little bit about what a sabbatical is, a little bit about Fathom Church's philosophy on sabbatical. So give us that.
Okay. So sabbatical, we could loosely attach it to some Old Testament Leviticus law stuff if we wanted to. Like we can, like every 7 years, Israel was commanded to let the land rest, and they had to like rotate crops, and there were some things that were built in, but I think those would be loose associations. So I'll just say sabbatical is not exactly biblical, but it isn't against biblical principles. So the way that we have built this out here is the idea of Sabbath is something that is absolutely biblical. So the idea of a 1 in 7 daily rest, a daily stopping, a daily ceasing to be refreshed, to worship, to enjoy God's creation. Lots of really important things that we could say, and we have said about Sabbath. Sabbatical is something that has been practiced historically in ministry contexts, but then also in other contexts. So you might think of like a university professor taking a sabbatical, or sometimes in different corporations, they offer tenured workers a season where they are continued to be employed, they are paid, but they are given as like a benefit, an extended, I mean, for some it's like a vacation, but an extended break to rest, to refresh, to kind of understand and reflect on where they're at in life. So as a church, when we planted, we talked about sabbatical, and the elders decided that we wanted to offer our ministerial staff sabbaticals every 7 years, essentially a summer off every 7 years. So I was the first one who got a sabbatical. And that happened a number of years ago. I actually got it in my 8th year because of COVID. Everything got pushed back. But it was Marcy and I took that summer and we were able to rest and reflect. We saw a counselor. We visited other churches. We really just kind of sat with the Lord in a lot of ways. And it was a really sweet season. We were asking the Lord, God, do you want us to continue this ministry at Fathom? Do you want us to continue pastoral ministry? I mean, we just in regular life and regular ministry, you don't normally get the time and the space to kind of stop and reassess. And we heard real clearly from the Lord, no, we want you. The Lord wants us to stay here. The Lord wants us to continue our ministry here at Fathom. So we just came back and we were really encouraged. And it was a big blessing to us to be able to take that sabbatical. And so now we're on our second sabbatical. Amanda is our second 7-year tenured employee. And then Kyle, you're up next, buddy. So you're next summer, but all of these things, they're meant to be, it's like a benefit. It's a benefit for our staff. It's also a benefit in terms of holding on to our staff. So like a lot of Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies are now offering sabbaticals to their employees as an incentive, one, for their employees to stay for the 7 years or 10 years or whatever they do it at the company, but then also as an incentive for them to want to continue, like just taking a break, taking a breather, stepping away and trying to process life and vocation and all of that is a huge deal. So we see this rhythm in the scriptures, 1 and 7, that daily rhythm. And we've just kind of taken that and said, that's how we want to practice sabbaticals here at Fathom, is offering our staff every 7 years, just a little bit of a break, a little bit of room to breathe. Now, the reason why I think that's really important, specifically in ministerial work, is because our vocation, so Kyle, you're a pastor here, Amanda, you're on staff as a minister here, I'm a pastor here. All three of us, our vocation is the church. We work for the church. And so that means that Sundays when we come here, we're going to work. And everybody else who is coming to the church that's not on staff, they aren't coming to work. They aren't putting on their work clothes. They're putting on their worship clothes. They're putting on their church clothes. They're putting on their rest clothes. And even if you're serving in your church on a Sabbath, on a day of rest, it's still different than, this is my vocation. This is what I do for work. This is how I provide for myself and my family. I'm drawing a paycheck here. I have annual reviews here. Like, it's just a different experience. So I think it's a huge benefit for staff members of a church to be able to take an extended time and say, okay, I need to sit with the Lord. So I need to sit with the Lord and just find my center with him again. Not that necessarily we lose it, but we aren't afforded the same weekly rhythms that everybody else is afforded in our local church. And so that's why this is a real specific gift to ministers and pastors on staff here at Fathom.
That's good. Well, thank you for that. Let's we're going to turn our attention to Amanda now. Can I ask you this first question? How are you feeling right now as we're getting close to your sabbatical? And what has God been doing and kind of stirring in your heart as you've are sort of prepping to take some time away?
Man, so much is being stirred up right now. And some of it is really uncomfortable. If you had asked me maybe 6 months ago, like, hey, Amanda, do you feel like you need a Sabbath and some break time or whatever? I'd be like, nah, like I am used to the pace of just keep going. I've never seen sabbatical in ministry modeled for me. And so it was just really quite different for me to even consider that might happen for me someday at Fathom. And I think it's really a sweet thing to be offered and just so beneficial, since this is also something that when you spend time in ministry, whether that's in church ministry or any other facet, burnout can come hard and it can come fast. And so by having these established rhythms, I see it as kind of preventative care of like, let's not let you get burnt out before we send you on a sabbatical. Let's make sure that you get the care and the pause time and the reflection time that you need so that you can continue effectively in ministry, whatever that may look like.
Yeah. Somebody said, I just interrupt and then give it back to you.
Go for it.
Somebody said when I was hearing about Sabbath, they said, God doesn't take a Sabbath because he's tired. He takes a Sabbath because he's done.
Yeah.
And I think that's a better way to think about sabbatical too. You've done 7 years.
Yeah.
And you're probably, by the way, you're probably more tired than you think you are.
Sure.
Like you'll get into, that's what at least my experience was, as I got into sabbatical and I was like, oh yeah, like I am actually, so like you're probably more tired than you think, but we're not like, we weren't like, in our annual review, I wasn't like, Amanda, I'm really sensing that you're burning out and they're exhausted. It's time for sabbatical.
Right.
That's not the plan.
No.
You've done 7 years of good, faithful ministry, and that's been done. And now we stop and we rest. So like that, I think, is a really important thing. We're not giving Amanda a sabbatical because she came to us and said, I need this, or I want this, or I'm burning out, or I'm gone if I don't get this. It's no, you've completed something, 7 years of ministry, and now you pause and you stop and you rest and you reflect. So I think that's a helpful designation. You don't need it. You're done. You're done. And now another chapter starts. Yeah.
Yes. And the closer I get to it, the more I crave it. And so that need, I don't know that that's the word that I want to use for this, but the desire for it is growing almost on the daily, the closer I get to it. So that's why I even mentioned like 6 months ago, if you had asked me this, I was so detached from what this might even look like. All I knew is that it was on the horizon. But now that it's coming so close, we're almost a month away. I find myself recognizing I need this rest. I need it more than I realized, as you just said, and I crave it and I'm looking forward to it. So really it now comes down to, what does that rest need to look like? And so that's where a lot of different things are getting stirred up inside my heart, and a lot of big questions for God, where like I've been asking these questions really since maybe even the beginning of the year. But I'm seeing the sabbatical as an opportunity to slow down, quiet down, and listen for what those answers might be, or responses, maybe some clarity, things like that.
That's good. So just to kind of give us and the church a little bit of insight, and I know you might not have everything planned out, but what are some things that you're hoping to do on your sabbatical? Like what might it look like? What are some things you're excited for?
Yeah. So as Chris talked about his sabbatical, where he and Marcy and Harper got to just rest and be and spend their time locally the majority of the time, I knew immediately when this was brought to my attention that I needed to not be here the majority of the time. I have, for those who don't know, I've spent a lot of the past 7 years dealing with mysterious chronic illness symptoms that has caused a lot of fatigue and things. And that has just made it to where I'm too familiar with my bed, and I don't want to just be in bed all summer for my sabbatical.
Yeah.
And it is good and right to create some separation during that time of sabbatical, but I'm also so deeply connected to my community here. And so if I were to just remain here, but not connected to my community, it sounds isolating. It sounds lonely. It sounds draining. It does not sound restful in any way. And so I am currently planning on doing 5 out of my 8 weeks on the road. I'm going to head towards the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to hopefully meet up with some of our partner churches through One Gospel Network, make new friends along the way, see old friends along the way. And then I'll still have a couple of weeks when I come back from that where I get to settle back in to life locally. maybe even do a couple little local adventures with friends, see a concert, visit some other local churches, and just settle back in during that time.
Can I ask you this as you're talking about, and this is always something that I not fear, but I think all of us in ministry, we kind of think about when you're talking about, visiting other churches and everything like that. Do you think it's going to be hard for you to turn off your worship brain or your staff brain? Is that part of kind of who you are? Because I know for me, visiting other churches, I know for a lot of us, it's not like a judgmental piece, but it's like our brain is always going crazy even at other churches. Is that going to be, I can see that you're like, yeah, maybe I know the answer to this.
Right. Yes. I definitely have just like this pent up energy of like, I have a direct answer for this, but it's such a I don't know, I guess uncommon kind of story that I come from, in the sense of like the simple answer is yes, that will be on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I have had enough experiences where I have needed to kind of remove myself and try and focus on other things. And part of that experience is that I don't know if I've talked about this before on the podcast, but my dad was a magician growing up. That was one of his many, many, many jobs. And I had asked him one time how he can sit through a magic show when somebody else is performing, because he knows how all of the tricks are done, right? And he told me that he just focuses in on the presentation of the trick and just watching and learning from other magicians on how they perform it, or what the story is behind like the lead up to the trick. And so I feel like him teaching me that was really helpful for when I even just go to concerts, like not just within the church, but any sort of music production thing, but especially within churches. I really do have to just do a conscious setting aside of what my typical role is, enjoy it for what it is, and try to have that sweet experience with the Lord outside of my typical. Because it's actually a lot easier for me to have sweet time with the Lord in worship when I'm on stage and leading, because that is what I'm more familiar with. It's harder for me to do that as just from where the congregation typically is. And so it's just really messy. And I have to, there's a lot of things that are stirring up inside of me that are telling me that there's a lot about this sabbatical that is going to be messy and that is going to be uncomfortable, but there's going to be so much beauty and restoration throughout the whole process.
Yeah, that's good. Do you have any questions for her, Chris, on her time away specifically? And then we'll get into what it's going to look like without Amanda.
No.
Okay.
No questions.
I've got another one.
Yeah, you keep going. I'm just listening.
What are some of your hopes about what God is going to teach you during this season? So what are you hoping that God does in you, or that you learn? What are just some of those things?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned earlier, I've got a lot of big questions for God right now. And I'm really seeing this as a sweet time to pause and reflect on the last 7 years. When I said yes to this role at this church, I said yes with the idea that this would be temporary. And in my mind, temporary was maybe a year or two, because as I said to Chris in my interview, I came here to do other things, and I'm happy to help for a little while, but I've got other plans in mind. But then COVID happened, and a whole bunch of other things happened, and it's
7 years later,
almost 7 years later, and I'm still here, and I'm happy to be here. But I also just want to check in with the Lord of like, what is working, what is not, what needs adjusted, and trying to be really open-handed with my expectations of what kinds of responses he's going to come at me with. Because there are some things in my life that are working well, and I really enjoy what I get to do at Fathom. But then there's other things that are just not working really well in my life. And for me to continue to do the things that are working well, adjustments have to be made. And so it's just a pretty significant time of reevaluation. So I expect there to be times of grieving, hope deferred, and loss of a variety of different things. A lot has gone on in the past 7 years that I have just kind of endured, but maybe not worked through as much as I could have or should have. So this pause, stillness, rest time seems like a good time to try to work through some of those things. Mm-hmm. But then I'm also just really hoping to delight in the Lord. Because of those heavy things, there's a lot of just fun that I have neglected. And I have been meeting with a sabbatical coach, and he has talked a lot about engaging in restorative activity. So whether that restorative activity looks like journaling or bringing my guitar along with me and just playing music for me and the Lord, or bringing my stand-up paddleboard and finding some cool lakes and engaging in activity in those ways, or even just driving in stillness and quiet, because I'm going to put a lot of miles on my car. I'm just hopeful that it will be restorative, it will be clarifying, and it will be delightful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so Chris, let's move on to what as Fathom Church, what does this summer look like without Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to feel different because Man and I talk about this all the time, but my voice and her voice are the two primary voices that people hear at our church. Mm-hmm. They hear me preach, they hear Amanda lead worship. And so very much sometimes people say, oh, your fingerprints are all over this place. Like our voices are all over this place. And so it's going to feel a little different this summer because we won't have one of our primary voices on stage for a couple of months. And in the same breath, one of the things that Amanda has been really good and gifted at doing is equipping and empowering other people inside of our church to lead. And so we have a number of gifted worship leaders who are in our church. So during those 8 weeks when she is not here leading worship, most of those weeks will be filled with internal worship leaders that are Fathom people that would be familiar to our church. So in some ways, it'll feel similar. It'll feel a little different, but it won't feel terribly foreign. But then additionally, we will bring a couple of guests in to supplement that. And that will feel very different, which I think will actually be a cool thing to just get something. Oh, excuse me. Bubbly water. There we go.
Come on, man.
Hey,
thank you for turning away
melon
from the
medley. Melon medley. It's a interesting
you're
flavor
welcome,
of bubbly water.
Yeah.
Smell-o-vision here.
Oh my gosh.
But it will be, I really do. I think it'll be a really good thing. You guys.
No, you're the one laughing.
I think it will be a good thing. We have not had many guest worship leaders through our years here at Fathom. And so in some ways we know what we know and we don't know what we don't know. And I think it'll be a real gift to be exposed to a portion of this that we don't really know, that we're not really familiar with. So I think it'll be fun. We'll obviously be excited for when she comes back and like to hear a report and hear how things went and kind of process that with her. But at the same time, Amanda has done a ton of work to set us up so that this summer isn't going to feel like, was this going to be a waste of a couple months? No, it's not going to be a waste. It's going to be a great summer. We will be praying for her and excited for her. We have gifted people inside this church who can serve us. We'll bring in a couple of friends. Yeah. And I think on the other end, she will be stronger and we will be stronger for it.
Yeah, that's good. Anything else, Chris, that you wanted to cover? Any other hard-hitting questions for Amanda over here?
Questions. I think we've kind of covered it. The benefit here, church. Here's what I'll say. I'll say my last word, and then you guys can say final words. All the stats point to tenure at churches as vocational staff members at 18 months. The average church worker in the United States lasts 18 months.
That's wild. Every time I hear that,
the average
years.
lead pastor lasts 3 years, but the average staff member lasts 18 months, a year and a half. And so for Amanda to have done 7 years is a feat, breaking the odds. But then on top of that, I mean, if the Lord keeps her here for longer, we want her to be as healthy as possible. Like, the best thing for our church isn't to wring every moment of Amanda out. It's to set her up to be healthy, godly, and a heart and a pursuit for Christ that continues. What we want to do is have healthy staff members at our church. Yep. And so as we work towards longevity in ministry, rest is a big, important piece to that. So all of that to say, that's why we're doing this. And listen, I've had people who came to me during my sabbatical who said, well, my job doesn't give me a sabbatical. So why are we, and listen, I understand that. And frankly, I think your job should give you a sabbatical.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's actually would be really awesome. This is something that the Lord has afforded to us. It is a gift to our staff members. And so I said it at the beginning, but I'll say it again. Thank you to our church for this. Like, thank you for the ability to do this. I think this is going to preserve our staff healthily for the long haul in a way that will beat those odds even better than we already are.
Yeah, it's good. Amanda, any last and final words from you?
It sounds so scary.
It's not. Any last thing?
I think I covet your prayers. Like, as I process these things, as I really try to quiet the noise, quiet the other voices that are typically impacting me, trying to get still with the Lord, so that I can truly hear my own voice and his voice. Yeah. As I'm seeking clarity on a lot of things and seeking restoration and healing and encouragement and direction and just all of these things. I just really appreciate prayers for that to be a sweet time and for the Lord to show up. I know he will, but there's just some care that I definitely am in need of. And so, prayers for that would be great.
That's good. And that's kind of along the lines of the last thing that I was going to mention is church as we're getting closer to Amanda's sabbatical, I would encourage you to encourage Amanda and to tell her that you're going to be praying for her, and not only tell her, but pray for her. Man, this summer, even as you come here on a Sunday morning and you don't see Amanda up in front, that just might be a good time to lift her up in prayer and just pray that God is doing just really good and sweet and joyous things in her life as she's on sabbatical. So encourage her as she's here a little bit longer before she kind of heads out. Let her know that you'll be praying for her. Just love on her, like our church can do. Thank you.
Let me throw one more thing in here.
Throw some.
June the 7th.
Yes.
Is your last Sunday before you are going on sabbatical.
Yes.
And so I just want everybody to mark that in their calendars. June 7th. We will be praying over Amanda in service. She's going to lead us in worship that day, but we're going to pray over her. We're going to send her. So I just encourage as many of our church, especially if you're in close relationship with Amanda, June 7th is a day that you would love. We would love to have you in person to lay hands on her and send her into this season of rest. We're excited for her.
Yeah, we are. We're excited for you, Amanda.
Thanks.
It's going to be awesome. Thank you, church, for listening, and we'll catch you next time.